Hi there, this is Dr. Maria Helt, herbalist and microbiologist and regular contributor to basmati.com. I'm going to talk a little bit about mullein plant today. I've been talking about mullein, or Verbascum thapsus as its botanical name. And I've talked about uses of the root in an earlier video and uses of the leaves in an earlier video. And today I'm going to talk about how to use the beautiful little yellow flowers that top mullein stalk. And so many of you might know mullein without even realizing it. It's a very common weed in North America. It's native to parts of Europe and Asia. Pretty common plant. And so mullein flowers are bright yellow. They're going to be at the top of a really, a tall flower stalk. Sometimes the stalk's only going to be this big. Sometimes it can be taller than me. One of the names is witch's taper, actually, of the plant, and that's because that flowering stalk has actually been used as torches. So it's very flammable when it's dry, and the tip was dipped in tallow and burned like a torch. But also that name derives from the fact that with the bright yellow flowers that top that stalk, it looks kind of like a candle from far away. And so to harvest the flowers requires a little bit of patience. One way you can do it is to just collect the whole flowering stalk. And don't worry, you're not killing the plant. It is a biennial plant, meaning that it grows for a couple of years, it blooms that second year, and then it dies off. And so no worries in terms of harvesting the flower stalk. And again, it's a noxious weed in parts of the world, so nobody's going to be mad at you really if you're harvesting it. And so what you can do is just take the stalk home and pluck those flowers off one by one. It takes a lot of patience. It could be a good meditation practice to do. And what are you going to use the flowers for? Well, the best known use, and probably what the mullein flowers are used most for, is for earaches. And so you can make a really wonderful ear oil out of mullein flowers. So what you do, I don't have any flowers right now, it's too late in the season, but just get a jar, a ball jar, or, peanut butter jar, whatever works for you. And you fill it about, halfway or so with the flowers, and then just top it off with olive oil so that the top of the flowers are covered. And if you have a solid lid, like the one I have on here, you want to have it cracked and have this sitting in the window for a few weeks. You want it cracked so that any water that's in the flowers evaporates out. There are also some jars that have nifty little metal screens that fit under the attachment, and that will let it vent, the water vent out itself. Or you can get rid of the metal part of the lid and replace it with something like cheesecloth. You just want to prevent dust and things like that from falling into your oil infusion, but you want to allow the water to evaporate. Now, oils can be tricky. They can mold if there's too much water and it's not able to escape. So one of the things I like to do when I'm making an infused oil out of things like mullein flower is actually lay the flowers out on a screen and let them wilt maybe overnight or for a couple of days. So let some of that water evaporate and then put it in your jar. But still use the cheesecloth or the mesh, or keep the lid cracked so that you don't have an oil that gets moldy. And then after the oil is steeped for at least a couple of weeks, you can strain the flowers out and keep the oil, and that's what you use for the ear. So it can be good for ear pain, ear infections, too much earwax that's causing problems. And it's a great one for children, especially who are susceptible to ear infections. I've used it in my dogs many times. And mullein flowers do is help reduce the pain and inflammation of that infection. And it works really well actually paired with garlic infused oil. Garlic infused oil is going to be very strongly antimicrobial. And so the two of them work really well together. The mullein flower, it can help to some extent with the infection. It's really the garlic that's going to be the stronger antibacterial, but the mullein flower is going to help with that pain, and that pain can be really intense. For any of you who have small children with a tendency towards ear infections, you know that they can really hurt, and so mullein flower can really be a fantastic ally to deal with ear infections. And then the flower has a lot of other uses. Most people just know of it in terms of ear infections, but actually like other parts of the plant, the flower can be used for cold and flu. You can do it as a tea. And so, I like to I have my little single serve teacup here, or you could make a big pot of it, 1 teaspoon for every 8 ounces of freshly boiled water and keeps them in the fridge for a few days so you're not having to make the tea over and over again. But you can drink the tea a few times a day for cold and flu, for seasonal allergies, you know, those sorts of things where you're getting all stuffed up. If you have a tendency to not sleep very well, you can try the tea at night. The problem for some of you is maybe it's going to wake you up and you're going to have to pee in the middle of the night, which doesn't help much with sleep. But the mullein flower, and in fact a lot of the plant, is actually mildly sedating. And so you can use the flowers for insomnia and heart arrhythmias, palpitations that are sometimes associated with insomnia. That's sometimes when somebody's maybe got a little tension going on, some stress or anxiety going on. And then also the tea can be useful for herpes. I might even try the oil for that. Maybe if you have a cold sore or something like that, you can give the oil a go topically to see if that helps. And then switching back to the oil again, that oil can be used topically not just for the ears, but also for painful muscles and achy joints, something that I deal with a lot. I do martial arts with a lot of people that are bigger and stronger than me, so I'm achy most of the time. And so you can use the flower oil to help with those aches and pains. And so that's it for mullein. We're going to move on to another plant next time. If you've missed the first two videos on mullein leaf and mullein root, check them out. It's a really useful, noxious weed that's beautiful and very handy. Until next time, take care.